Well, hey, church. Serge V here, and I'm really excited about talking to you about today's devotional. This one specifically, I know we've been on a thread of risky faith. And, when I read the title of the thread, I'm like, well, if it's faith, then what kind of faith can it be? It has to be risky. It has to be illogical. It has to be not thought through in this, point A to point B, because that's the life we're called to as believers, to completely lean on a faith that goes beyond our understanding. But today, the specific passage that I do want to share with you on is on in Hebrews 11, verses 17 through 19, talking about Abraham and Isaac. And Hebrews 11, honestly, is one of my favorite, probably one of my favorite books and chapters of the Bible, just because it is just, if you ever need a faith boost, this is the chapter to go to just get this, you know, list by list example of some of our heroes of faith who just were obedient to the Lord. Who knew the Lord so well to trust them with some of the greatest treasures of their life. And if you've never heard the story of Abraham and Isaac, to just give it some background, Isaac wasn't just a son. Isaac was the son, the descendant, the promise that God promised Abraham. After Abraham and Sarah couldn't have children for years, Sarah was 99 years old, and the Lord promised Abraham, you will have a son and you will have descendants. And Abraham went off course a little. He tried to fulfill the promise by himself, but the Lord specifically promised him Isaac, which would be the one who would continue the lineage. And Hebrews 11 reminds us of this, of a specific test that Abraham had, and I'm going to read it to you. And this is what it says. Faith operated powerfully in Abraham, for when he was put to the test, he offered up Isaac. Even though he received God's promises of descendants, he was willing to offer up his only son. For God had promised, through your son Isaac, your lineage would carry on your name. Abraham's faith made it logical to him that God could raise Isaac from the dead, and symbolically, that's exactly what happened. And what I love about this is that, as the story goes, the Lord appeared to Abraham and told him, hey, I want you to take your son Isaac and sacrifice him on the altar. And I mean, those of us who have children, if that is something that you were asked to do, sacrifice a child, that's beyond. And I'm so glad we have Jesus right now. We don't have to, this is not the kind of stuff that the Lord, tests us in right now. But it's interesting because the Lord knew to test Abraham in this way because he knew Abraham's obedience, and he knew Abraham's faithfulness, and he knew Abraham's response to the Lord. And I love that the kind of faith that Abraham had, it wasn't even just, well, I'm going to believe God. It said Abraham's faith made it logical to him, which is like, how can you possibly figure logic here when you're being asked to sacrifice your only son and your promise? And it's like it made it logical to him that God could raise Isaac from the dead. And guys, this is what I want to challenge you in and challenge myself in as I even speak. There is a promise that the Lord has given you. There is a word that is over your life. There is a season that is coming that the Lord spoke over. And right now, you may not see any evidence of it. And right now, it may look like it's being taken from you. Right now, it may look like you're actually being asked to lay it down, to almost let go of things. But know that the promise of the Lord, if he asks you to let go, if he asks you to let him take control, to trust him, it's a complete let go. And that means that our faith just tells us if we let go, that he not only fulfills the promise, but he will go through the power of the Holy Spirit, through the power of the resurrection, to raise things from the dead if it means fulfilling his promise. So if there is a hope that's being lost right now, in whatever circumstance you're going through, know that the Lord is going to raise the dead if he has to fulfill the promise he made to you over your life. I know this story is very personal to me, and I know there was a time in my life where I had to believe that is the case. And I just encourage you, trust in the Lord, and He will break down walls, and He will do things that you couldn't even think of to keep His promise to you. Why? Because He is good and faithful. He is always true to His word. I love you guys. Hope you're encouraged. See you on Sunday.